guys, so today I am finally doing the long-awaited tutorial on how you can create a base, a face that lasts all day long. This is how I like to do my face when I want to make sure that it is super duper long wearing. So perfect for like prom, perfect for a festival, perfect for when you're on an island. These are my little tips and tricks that I picked up along the way that help me get my face on, help it stay on for an entire day with minimal touch-ups. So yeah, without any further ado, if you would like to know how to get a long ass lasting face, then keep on watching. Alrighty, are you ready for a base that will never let you down? When it comes to a long lasting base, one of the most important things is primers. Now, if you are oily skinned, you might want to go for something really heavy duty. My skin, however, is very dry and combination wise, but it's very leaning towards the dry side. So what I do is go in with this primer right here. I've talked about this a lot of times. This is the Sisley Double Tensor Instant and Long-Term Primer. And what I love about this primer is that it becomes really, really sticky. Now, in my mind, when something is really sticky, anything you put over top is really gonna cling onto it and stay there for the rest of the day. So for me, this primer is really a magic worker. Like, it does it all for me. I feel like once this becomes that tacky layer, everything I put over top just stays there. Now, of course, there are so many primers out there, and I think it's all very like personal preference as to what you like and what works for your skin tone. But if you are dry to combination, leaning more towards dry, I really recommend this one. The price is ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about it, but it's so worth it. So I warm the primer up between my fingers, and then I softly massage it into my skin. Just massage it in. And make sure you don't IV. And then as you are massaging it in, you feel it becoming a little bit more tacky, and that is when I start tapping it into the skin. This will really get the Ivy, can you shut up? As it starts becoming tacky and you start tapping it in, it just makes it more tacky for me somehow. When it comes to long-term makeup, something equally as important is the foundation that you wear. You can go for something sheer and very water-based. You can go for something like medium coverage, but on a very oily base. I feel like to keep your makeup on the longest, you have to go with long-wearing foundations. Now, the two miracles in my life right now are Lancome Teint Idole 24-hour makeup, Ultra 24-hour makeup, and I am in the color 100 Ivory Neutral. And another long-lasting fave is by Estee Lauder. This is the Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. These two separately are incredible. I've worn this one to a private island, and it was super duper hot, and I was so proud that with this technique, my face lasted all day from morning till night. But recently, I've started mixing these two together, and it's become my ultimate favorite long-lasting formula. So today I'm gonna mix these two foundations together, and this will make for a super, super long-lasting base. And my favorite way of applying foundation is using a damp Sigma blender. And especially with long wearing foundation, it is key that you move fast. Once the foundation starts drying in and settling down, it stays there. It locks in and you can't do anything to it. So if you see anything you want to blend it into the skin a little bit more, do it immediately. There is no applying it now, coming back to it later to blend it in a little bit more. You want to get it perfect from the get-go, because once it sets, it stays there. When it comes to concealer, I feel like any choice is pretty safe when you have such a rock solid base. Any concealer you put over top is actually fine. It can't mess up the base really. So my favorite is Tarte Shape Tape. I apply concealer to kind of highlight the face and bring life to it. And And then with that same Sigma blender, I just bounce it in. I always do under eyes last. Now I do want to mention that however much you apply with this technique, it doesn't matter. It still works. If you are a full coverage queen like I am, cake it on. If you like a softer, thinner layer of coverage, this technique will still, you know, pull through. So don't feel like you have to cake it on in order for this technique to work. It's just my personal preference. So first I tap in the lower edges to get that nice and smooth. And then I start focusing on the actual under eye and looking up to prevent creases. Now this is where the important stuff comes in. Of course, your primer, your foundation, your concealer can all be so long lasting, but if you don't set it with a powder, it's never gonna last. That is trick or rule number one when it comes to long lasting makeup. You want it to set in order to stay there. So personally for me, I like to start with setting my under eye area. I always go in with the Derma Blend translucent powder. This is what the packaging looks like. This is amazing on the under eyes because it's such a finely milled powder. It really looks traceless underneath there. It doesn't have a color to it, so it won't alter the color of your concealer. It just doesn't alter like the texture or like the color, which is what you want. Now, a trick to making your under eye area last and don't crease throughout the day is using a damp sponge and then pick that powder up and set your under eye area. So before you do this, you want to go back in with your sponge and make sure that all creases in your under eye area are gone. Then pick up the powder with your damp sponge and set. And notice how it has a white cast now. This will all go away once you brush it all off, so don't worry about that. Now the same technique or philosophy kind of applies to the foundation as well. If you want your foundation to last, you're gonna have to set it with a powder. And my favorite technique for this is to grab a little tiny powder puff and loose powder. There are endless amounts of powders on the market. My two favorites are these right here. I have a drugstore option for you. This is air spun. You can get this at, I believe, CVS, Walgreens. I don't know. And another powder I really love and really looks beautiful on the skin is by Kat Von D. This is the Lock It Setting Powder in Translucent. So both are equally as amazing. I'm gonna go for the Airspun today. And now what I do with Airspun is I pick some up with my powder puff and set my most oily areas of my face with that. So my cheeks don't really get oily throughout the day, so I leave that alone. But like my chin, above my lip, my nose, sides of my nose, and forehead is what gets oily for me throughout the day, so I want to lock that in. If you wanted this to be soft and natural, this is not the place. So I pick up the powder with my powder puff, like that. Now this is gonna look very messy, very ugly, and ashy, but let me tell you, in the end, it will all pull through. And all I do is literally set my face by patting the powder in. You don't want to rub it in. You don't want to smear it in. You want to pat it into place so you really lock it down. Like I said, it's not a pretty stage. So once you've done this and you've really locked in the oily parts of your face, now it's time to brush it all off and get rid of the ugly stage. So this is where I like to go in with this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder in #1 and my e.l.f. Foundation blurring brush. And I kind of like to pick up a little bit of this powder to set the areas that I really didn't like cake down. So I pick up some on my brush and I start kind of where I ended with the bake. And I just gradually, like in circles, tapping circles, I set every area of my face and like move to a new destination and like set it all. I also work in and brush away the air spun with this brush. So with this brush, I kind of really all work the powders into my skin. Now, that still doesn't mean that it all looks absolutely a-okay after you've done this powder, because you'll look very powdery, of course, because there's a lot of powder on your face. So the trick to that is doing your eyebrows, doing your eye makeup, doing your cheeks, doing your lips, and then is when we go in with our setting spray, and that is really going to transform a cakey and powdery look to something long wearing, semi-natural, and just amazing. Okay, so the overall part of a face is set. Now all we have to do is get rid of the under eye bake. For this, I love going in with this Fit Me powder by Maybelline in the color 100. I like this because it is light enough for my fair skin tone, and I really like the texture and the formula of it. It just looks really nice on the skin. So with that same e.l.f. brush, I pick up this powder and I kind of pat away the under eye bake. And that, my loves, is the most important step of this routine. Now is your time to do your brows, do your eye makeup, do all of your makeup, and then at the very end of that comes in the setting spray and different techniques of using that in order to make this look less powdery and more like skin. So I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup right now and I'll be right back. All right, so I have my full face almost done. I just wanted to come on here because I have a very special announcement concerning my collaboration with Ofra Cosmetics. You guys made the first launch such a huge success. So now I just got the word that we are bringing the collection back. We're bringing it back. Plus, what is even more amazing about this is that we're also bringing back the items individually. After my last video, I asked you if you wanted it, and so many of you wanted this, and I showed all your messages to upper management at Ofra, and I convinced them. You helped me convincing them, bringing back the collection. So now everyone can get Everglow or Nude Potion or Spell or Coven separately or still with the box all together. We're bringing it back. So I thought it would only be fitting to do my glow using my baby Everglow today. This is so blinding, it's crazy. And if you didn't get your hands on the collection yet, the relaunch will be April 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to celebrate that even more, Ofra and I came up with the idea to fly me into Florida to the Ofra headquarters next week to do a meet and greet to celebrate the launch and the relaunch. So if you want to meet me and you're in the Florida area, which is really big, I will be at the Ofra headquarters April 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. for a meet and greet. I will leave all the info down below in the description box, but I would love to meet you and hang out with you and take photos and hug. I love hugs. For lips today, I'll be using Nude Potion to celebrate. I mean, don't judge me. And now it's time to seal the deal, baby. It is time for setting spray. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of doing my makeup because it really transforms everything and it just... So, the magic trick to making any setting spray work is the following, and I learned this from Makeup by Mario, also known as Kim Kardashian's makeup artist. His technique is spraying the face and right after grab something to fan it. When I was younger, I had to take my bike to school, and when I was wearing makeup and it would rain, I would have the wind hitting my face, so it would be constantly rain, wind, sort of like setting spray and then fanning it to make it dry. And whenever that would happen, I would end up at school looking like a drowned cat, a drowned whale, and my makeup would be everywhere, but it would be locked in. Like, it would almost be impossible for me to get it off. And when I saw Mario do that, it was like, so the ultimate trick to making any setting spray work is setting your face with the spray and completely fanning it until it's dry. It works. It keeps my makeup on for hours upon hours upon hours. You're like, we waited a week for that trick? Yes, you did. And this just takes away the powderiness of your face and transforms it back into skin, and it keeps it on for the rest of the day. I know it's so silly, but try it out. It actually worked, and let me know if it worked for you. And that, guys, is how I like to create the most long-lasting base to my capabilities. Like, this is how I know my base will last throughout thick and thin. I mean, I do powder every now and then because my nose tends to like be oil city, but other than that, the overall look and appearance of my face looks flawless all day long. So try it out. Let me know if it worked for you. If it didn't work for you, well, fudge me then. So for a full list of every single product mentioned and used, go to my description box below or at NikkieTutorials.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. That all is NikkieTutorials. As always, if you enjoyed watching this video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you so much for watching again. I hope it was useful and helpful, and yeah, I hope my little tricks worked for you, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.